Greetings, ladies and gents, and welcome to this narration of the web novel Solo Apocalypse, taken from Royal Road. If you are new to the series, there is a playlist listed in the description. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 3. Something screamed back at me, and I realized it was myself. "Get a hold of yourself," Third was hissing. Some part of me knew my other self was right, that screaming was akin to death. But I just died. I felt my throat being cut, my chest pierced. The sensation so fresh in my mind made my body convulse and squirm. Warm blood covered me, seeping through my clothes. At some point, I realized that I was being carried hand over my mouth. My vision was blurry with tears, my face covered in snot. I didn't want to move. I wanted to curl up and hide. A part of me raged at that, angry for the first time in God knows how many years. Truly angry. Of all the crap I'd been through, this is what braced me. That stubborn, idiotic thought cut to me. My parents dying, struggling through school, working part-time and juggling grades good enough for scholarship. The sacrifice of my entire social life, for years and years, alone. And that damn apocalypse was going to shut me down. It was so ridiculous I started laughing. A laugh so absurd and out of place, it was enough to snap me back into focus, to center my emotions and mind. I stood up. Third had taken me to one of the labs, chancing to open the door. It was empty, and he'd brought me in after checking the fact. I took a step away from myself and greeted Second the second. Technically the fourth, but I stuck with my own convention. He looked at me how I'd looked at myself, which again was understandable. There was nothing to comfort, no words needed to be said. We were all the same. Me. Anger burned red hot in others. People lost control, hurt those around them and themselves. I would know most of all. I was once a troubled kid prone to violent bursts of anger. I had cooled down since then, found my peace with the world. That didn't mean I couldn't be angry, a new one. Now, anger for me was a simmering cold, the kind of cold that burned and hissed. It brought ice to my veins and washed me in a sudden clarity. That was me, now. I secured the laboratory. No other entrances, but no other exits. The thick steel door wasn't ideal. It was still better than being exposed in a hallway, open to a cave monster. I suppressed a shiver as I rummaged through the room in 3 different places. Boxes of neatly organized safety equipment, goggles, gloves, lab coats, masks, amongst others. 2 fire extinguishers, 2 first aid kits along the walls, an emergency shower, an eye wash station, microscopes, beakers, funnels and bottles, flasks, test tubes, pipettes, and other tubing. Second, grabbed the first aid kit and managed to fit the whole thing into my spider silk backpack. Third, found the other one and did likewise. Item, spider silk backpack. A backpack crafted from superior light materials. It is enchanted for extra storage and weight reduction. Holds 3 times its volume, reduces weight by half. More details. I'd have to make sure to inspect things more thoroughly when they came up. Check if the water's running, one of us said. Someone turned a knob and we had a stream of water going, crystal clear and cold. We took to filling the bottles and stored those in my bag too. Survival meant food, water, and shelter. I needed a source of food. My mind whirled with ideas, but nothing made sense pursuing without an advance of information. Now that I had calmed down, as much as anyone could be expected to given the circumstances, I thought about what was best. I didn't think that I could survive going through the cave even with forewarning. Whatever that creature was, it had killed me in an instant. I hadn't even seen it before, it was just there. Which meant that was off the table, and actually worse than going back to the surface. I come all the way down here to find a dead end, but not without buying myself time to figure out what it meant to be solo. That method of using my clones was a stroke of genius, obvious in hindsight, but unthinkable for someone in constant distress. And there was a detail coming from across my new backpack. Come to think of it, I should check that chest out as well. Second watches the hallway. Third checks the uncommon chest. I think I get the notifications even if I'm sitting right here. Then, you survey up above, I said. Taking a seat at one of the lab stations, The position was so familiar I had vertigo, as if I was in a lab waiting for one of the aides to lead the experiments. I shook it off, handing them lab masks, and I think it's better if I don't advertise I can clone myself. Sounds good, Second responded, taking the mask and covering his face. Yeah, Third replied, doing the same. Both looked the same, unfortunately, matching outfits, same black masks, same posture, height, and movements. At least the face was covered. I saw them out the door, shut it, then locked it. The metal clicked into place with a deep thunk, and I was alone again. I sat there, tracking their progress, quietly piling up chairs or tables against the door. Second peered around the corner towards the cave and, after a moment, Third was moving for the storage closet. There he found an uncommon chest, something we'd barely stopped to inspect further. Item, uncommon chest. Chests are hidden troves of treasure, capable of holding great boons and riches. This chest has the potential to hold uncommon valuables, either in effect, rarity, or quality. That was interesting. Hidden troves of treasure. What made something worthy of a notification like this? I wasn't quite sure. But it was obvious nothing ever mentioned in the strange way was normal. I was the first piece of evidence. Something had changed me, altered me. I could have thought about it all day, but my mind was outside, tracking myself. I moved about perfectly in sync. Not practiced, no. But my rhythm was evident between each of my clones. One watched, the other move. I did both, clearing the building. 3 times I paused, waiting, fearful, ready. Then I was moving again. This was a science building. Biology, botany, marine, ecology, pre-med, biomedical, and the like. And there was dead bodies. In the laboratory, the original me suppressed an urge to throw up. Not all the bodies were whole, and clearly, some weren't just halved, but half-eaten. Chewed. I moved through the building, eyes for anything useful, for any survivors. Both me's paused at the lecture hall that I'd been attending, a general science course. There was an oddly smooth concrete slope to the one side, rubble everywhere else. Then I realized I was looking at something that had melted it. I didn't see people I had left behind. They had either fled or died. Maybe both. The second me chanced to peek out of the lecture hall, a destroyed campus, worse than before. Now that I had more time to look, I saw the terrain that seemed to be spiced with what I knew from the university, was something akin to a forest. Tall trees in the background where there was none before, thick vines hanging between them. I frowned, backing away from the exposed lecture hall, and proceeded upwards, to the top of the building. I felt others would have done the same, if there were any. I stopped at the nurse's office, hearing something, breath, muffled and pained. I took up both sides of the door and froze. There was a trail of blood leading inside. On an invisible beat, I pushed into the room. End of chapter. I would quickly like to thank the Tier 5 members, Marky, Cam Maxwell, Casper Arnholtz, Oakfield, Lord Azrakul, and It's Difficult to Pronounce. Thank you very much.